Puerto Rican slaves in Hawaii? Yeah, what's going on, party people? In the place to be, I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Hope everybody's having a good time thus far during this week. Um, yeah, man, I just want to say what's up. It's good to see everybody. As we continue to defend the gospel. And of course, if you have not yet already, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell two more friends that it is I, him again. And if you like how it goes down with BK, you can show your appreciation by throwing a little digital coinage my way via the PayPal link that's pinned on top of the chat. Or if you'd like to become a monthly supporter of BK, you could become a Patreon where you get an assortment of goodies to enhance your personal Bible study. So, and of course, we got the incomparable, the indelible, the king of all moderators, none other than Nate 2D2 going on. Sir, good to see you. And hopefully we'll, see some few other peoples come through. So you're probably wondering about the title, because I sure was, right? And right, Puerto Rican slaves in Hawaii. That right, that's not usually a claim or a sentence you usually hear, you know, from any Hebrew Israelites, let alone IUIC, right? So where is this coming from? Right? So we're going to show you a quick video, and he makes a very interesting claim which got my attention. So with that being said, let's check it out.
Hey, did you know cargo slave ships was written in the Bible and blacks and Hispanics was on them? You don't believe it? Check it out. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I speak unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. See, the cargo slave ships is in the Bible. That's how you so-called black man got over here to America. That's how you so-called Puerto Ricans got to Hawaii. And that's how you so-called Native Americans got over there to Spain by cargo slave ships. And it's in the Bible.
So you heard him. And just in case you didn't, I got the quote here. It says, "And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." See, the cargo slave ships is in the Bible. That's how you so-called black men got over here to America. That's how you so-called Puerto Ricans got to Hawaii. And that's how you so-called Native Americans got over here to Spain by cargo slave ships, which is kind of interesting, didn't know that the Native Americans got over there to Spain by cargo slave ships. I'm sure Mr. Phil Fox would have some issue with that particular claim. But we're talking about here that somehow, he starts off with, a familiar claim that most, not all, but most Hebrew Israelites use as a proof text that the curses from Deuteronomy has been lived out via the transatlantic slave trade, right? That, Africans, or, well, in their lexicon, so-called Africans, got taken from the west coast of Africa and were brought to these different Caribbean islands and the Americas. Right? That's something, and they're saying that what we see in Deuteronomy is being lived out in the transatlantic slave trade. What I've never heard before is that the slaves came from Puerto Rico and were put on cargo ships to Hawaii. Like that part, is that considered part of the transatlantic slave trade? I find it very, very interesting. So I decided to do a little digging, and I ran into activist Blase Camacho Sousa, dedicated herself to preserving and interpreting the migration experience of Puerto Ricans to Hawaii. So this is somebody who this is their field of study. You know, because yes, Puerto Ricans were in Hawaii. That is true. My question is it considered part of the transatlantic slave trade? So she has an article called Trabajo y Tarista, Work and Sorrow, the Puerto Ricans of Hawaii, 1900 to 1902. So let's see what she has to say. Charles H. Allen, newly appointed by President McKinley as governor of Puerto Rico, reported in the first place, it is the privilege of every person to immigrate if he chooses to do so, either with the hope of bettering his financial condition or finding a more agreeable residence. The humblest barefoot peon in the forest of El Yunque has the same right to expatriate himself if he chooses, as does the millionaire. So Charles Allen is saying, listen, the Puerto Rican has the right, regardless of what station he's in life financially, has the right to find greener pastures. And if he wants to expatriate himself from and go to another nation, to another country, he should be able to. Whether it's the humblest barefoot one or the millionaire, they both have this right. All right. So does this sound like someone's getting kidnapped? Does this sound like the slave trade to you? But he's talking about that Puerto Ricans have the right to go to Hawaii, not that they're being stolen and taken by force to Hawaii. He's saying that no, Puerto Ricans want to go to Hawaii, and we shouldn't stop them because they have a right to go if they want to, if it's for financial reasons or a more agreeable residence. They're not being forced to go. They're going because they believe that they will have a better life in Hawaii. So right then and there, this was already kind of cutting this idea that this is anywhere part of the transatlantic slave trade. But let's continue. But best remembered by Puerto Rican elders in Hawaii was Alberto E. Menville, the son of a Puerto Rican mother and an American father, who did much of the recruiting in his home area of southwestern Puerto Rico. This area was coffee growing country, and there was extreme hardship due largely to the effect of the hurricane San Quirico. Many immigrants to Hawaii came from this area, from districts, villages, and towns such as Adjuntas, Aguaria, Utaro, Lares, Arecibo, the Pezulias, Yacu, Ponce, and Mayoes. Few came from San Juan, the largest city. Those from the city claimed they were recruited by R.A. McPhee and W.D. Noble, the agents. So what was happening here is Puerto Rico was one of the major exports was coffee, but because of the hurricane, it became difficult for them to make to get the beans and everything. So they needed to find work elsewhere, and these gentlemen were the agents that helped. First told the Puerto Ricans about this opportunity and helped them to come over to Hawaii. With all information was given solely orally to the first immigrants by the recruiters, or whether they had access to written information cannot be determined at this time. The following agreement, translated into Spanish and posted and dated April 16th, 1901. So what we're going to hear now is the pitch for why the Puerto Ricans should go to Hawaii, right? This is the agreement for the employment of laborers for the islands of Hawaii. The Planters Association of the Hawaiian Islands needs laborers for the cultivation of cane and the manufacture of sugar, and therefore makes the following offer to working people and their families who will go to that country. One, to furnish laborers, their wives, children, and relatives free passage from Puerto Rico to Honolulu, including subsistence and medical attendance during the journey. Two, to furnish such laborer upon his arrival with agricultural employment for the period of 3 years from the date of actually commencing work. Also, furnishing employment to his wife and elder children if they so desire. 3, to guarantee the laborer the following wages for each month of 26 working days of actual labor. 4, the laborer and his family will receive free of cost living apartments, fuel and water for domestic use, medical attendance, and medicines. 5, the laborer shall be exempt from personal taxes. He and his family will enjoy the full protection of the laws of the territory of Hawaii, and his children under 14 years of age will be provided with primary instruction in the public schools. This is the offer they're making to Puerto Ricans, right? We'll get you that free shipping. We'll get you there for free. While you're on the ship, you're going to have medical attention. When you get off the ship and you're in Hawaii, we're giving you free room and board, free health care, automatic employment, not just for you, but for your spouse and your kids if they want to work. Right? And it's a 3-year contract. Now, does this sound to anyone like the transatlantic slave trade? I don't remember the Africans being given an offer. Do you? This is nothing like the transatlantic slave trade. Oh, and number 6, at the conclusion of 3 years from the time of actually beginning work, the planter will pay the laborer $72 as a bonus, providing always that the laborer will have worked continually during this period upon the plantation to which he was assigned an average of not less than 20 days in each month. So they're talking about bonus pay as well. I don't remember the enslaved Africans getting bonuses when they were in the plantation. When did the Puerto Ricans find out when they came to what did the Puerto Ricans find out? So what I just shared was the offer, right? If you come to Hawaii, this is what you're going to receive. Now, once they got there, what happened, right? What did the Puerto Ricans find when they came to Hawaii? The early immigrants' answer was usually trabajo y tarita, work and sorrow, right? First, as promised, there was work in the plantation. $15 monthly for the men, 40 cents a day for the women, 50 cents a day for the boys, and 35 cents a day for the girls. Later, for the men, pay included a bonus, usually $50 per week if they worked a full 26-day month. Second, there were the living quarters, access to medical aid, which varied from plantation to plantation in quantity and quality, and prerequisites such as fuel and water. The average wages for the Puerto Ricans employed in the plantations are therefore higher than those promised to them when they left Puerto Rico. So not only did they receive the payments, they actually got more than what they were offered. Okay? Does this sound like the transatlantic slave trade to you? Yeah, and that's what I got. So now, does that mean that there wasn't oppression going on for these Puerto Ricans in Hawaii? Was there any discrimination? Was there any racism? Of course there was. You know, they got paid. No, no, I'm not saying they got paid well, but when you're starving and you can't make the stuff that you made back home, you have no other recourse than to look for, in comparison, greener pastures. But in no way is this even closely related to the transatlantic slave. First of all, they were given an offer. They made a pitch. Hey, we need more laborers here. So they didn't run and grab people from Puerto Rico. They said, hey, we want to cut a deal with you. If you decide to work for 3 years, we'll get you here for free. We're going to give you free room and board. You're going to get free medical attention. You're going to get bonuses if you work full time, and employment for your spouse and your kids. And if they're too young to work, they could go to school. We give you that too. That's not the transatlantic slave trade, my friend. Did they offer education to the slaves when they came to the Americas? Was there, actual medical attention given to these Africans when they were on those slave ships? Did they have that? Did they get paid in the plantation? Did they get bonuses? Were they protected by the laws of the actual land in which they worked in? No. So you can't compare that to Puerto Ricans going to Hawaii. It's not true. You're just saying it. It's just not true. So that's what I want to share with you guys. Yes, Puerto Ricans did go to Hawaii, but not on cargo slave ships. And they didn't go as enslaved people. Now, one could argue that, the kind of work that they did was similar to, slave work. Like, you could argue that, but where the differences lie is, well, they got paid, they got bonuses, and they got free medical and free room and board. That's what they got. And it wasn't like, because you would think they would make this offer, right? And then when the Puerto Ricans finally get to Hawaii, they do the old switcheroo and be like, well, you're already here, so you got to deal with it. No. They made more than what the offer said. Made more. So again, that's not the transatlantic slave trade. The slaves never profited from being enslaved. But when the Puerto Ricans went to Hawaii, they got a wage, plus bonus, plus free med, plus free room and board. So, again, IUIC, they don't properly research to back up the claims that they make. Because I found it caught my attention right away. I mean, well, one of those reasons because I am Puerto Rican, right? So I have a vested interest anytime someone says anything about my people, right? And to say that we were cast off as slaves and brought over to Hawaii is just categorically false. It's not true at all. At all. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Once again, misinformation misrepresentations, eisegesis. I mean, this is, you know, the founding baseline of many IUIC video, unfortunately. You know, and I do these videos and I call them out on this because I know there's people who are wavering in their faith, and there's times where this Hebrew Israelism looks attractive. But yes, I am here to make sure that, you know, you stay with Jesus and to show you and expose that these individuals who you might be tempted in joining, well, look what they're saying. Can they actually be trusted with what they teach and show? Because time and time again, we have seen misrepresentations, reading things into the text, reading things out of context constantly. And here's another example of making claims that they can't back up because it's not true. It's not true. So, with that being said, this is BK signing off. Peace.